Hey y'all, what's up? Welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel if you are new. My name is Cristin and I'm the mom of two little boys. I've got baby Ira here with me, and I also have an almost 3-year-old little boy as well. His name is Levi. So today I thought it would be kind of fun to answer some pregnancy related questions. These are pregnancy questions you might have been too afraid to ask. So I found this video floating around on Facebook. It's from the company, I guess, called Goodful. I can try to leave a link to the video down below, but I thought it'd be fun to come on here and answer these questions myself. So the first question is, do you really poop during childbirth? And the answer to that is, you can. Yes. I did with my firstborn. I know, so gross. I was so afraid of pooping during childbirth, like while I was pregnant, just the idea of it. I was mortified that it was going to happen to me, and it did. But I'll tell you what, when it happened, like, that was the least of my concerns. I was just trying to get my baby out. I had a really hard and long labor with him. I can leave a link to my birth story down below along with this guy if you guys are interested. And by the time it came time for me to push, I just wanted him out so bad, and I ended up having a C-section with him. My doctor let me push for 3 hours, and after I think my second hour of pushing with him, my doctor told me that if I didn't get him out within the next hour, I would be having a C-section. And my doctor and my nurse both kept telling me I was pushing correctly. They kept telling me to push like you need to poop, and I could feel myself doing it. I could feel it coming out. I knew what was going on, and then she'd wipe it away. Nobody ever said anything, but I knew it was happening. It was still slightly mortifying, but I really wasn't that concerned. I really just wanted to get that baby out of me because I really didn't want to have a C-section, which I ended up with a C-section anyways. But yeah, you can definitely poop during birth. But if you do poop, that means you're doing it right. So, you know, push for the poop because it means you're pushing correctly. Question number 2, have you tasted your own breast milk? Yes, or at least the colostrum. I've never really been much of a producer, which is why I have bottle fed both my babies. But yeah, the colostrum, I've tasted it, and I always feel like it doesn't really have much of a taste. Though with him, at one point, I had fazoli's, and oh my gosh, it was like, it smelled like garlic. I couldn't really taste anything in it, but he would not take the colostrum for nothing. He was not interested at all. I've heard before that what you eat comes through your breast milk and the baby can taste it. Again, like, I didn't personally taste any garlic in the colostrum, but you could smell it. It stunk like garlic, and he would not drink it for nothing. But yeah, I have, just regular occasions, tasted it, like, you know, when I haven't had the garlic, and I feel like it doesn't really have much of a flavor at all, or much of a smell, really. I mean, maybe a little bit of a sweet smell, I guess, but I feel like it really does have much flavor, and it tends to be a much thinner liquid than compared to like a cow's milk. It's much thinner. But again, I'm talking about colostrum. I've never really made a lot of actual milk, so I guess I can't answer that part. But the colostrum, I've tasted that. Question number 3, what is a mucus plug? It's gross, is what a mucus plug is. A mucus plug is something that, if I am correct on, it like seals off the opening to the vagina more or less to keep like everything inside. I mean, you still have your amniotic sac, which has all your fluids, but then like you also have your plug in there, which is like if you had your sac, then you'd have your plug, and then you'd have the opening to the vagina. Does that make any sense? That's my understanding of it. I could be wrong. But before you have the baby, the mucus plug starts to come out, and it looks like snot. It's disgusting. People say it's an indicator of labor. In my experience, I started losing my mucus plug 2 weeks before I went into labor with my firstborn. With this kiddo, I had a planned C-section, so I never started losing the mucus plug. But with my firstborn, yeah, I started losing the mucus plug about 2 weeks before I went into labor. It started off gradually and just increased, and it was like a big gelatinous globby goo. It was gross. That's what a mucus plug is. It looks like snot, like a big old loogie. Yeah, that's a mucus plug. Question number 4, did you have crazy dreams when you were pregnant? Yes. Oh my goodness, with both kids, I had wild dreams. I really wish I would have written them down for both. For this one, I remember a few in particular. They were really bad. I would actually like be in this weird half dream, half awake like state and get up and be doing stuff. I guess you might call that sleepwalking. I've never personally done sleepwalking before, but one dream in particular, I'm going to try to keep it straight because I had a couple of dreams where I got up and did stuff. But one dream in particular, I think it all happened in the same dream. And a little backstory here. We have groundhogs really bad in the back alley, and these are considered pest animals. They're really pretty. They're cute. But they can really do some damage to your house. Like, they can chew through your foundation. They can really mess up your house. There's some houses on my street that have just holes, like burrows, through the foundation from groundhogs. And the day that I had the dream, or the day before I should say, I had seen a groundhog in the back part of our yard by our garage, and it freaked me out because I was like, oh my goodness, we don't need a groundhog digging under the garage. So far we've been lucky and we have not had any groundhog damage. Not like our neighbors. They haven't touched our house, thankfully, yet so far. So that night I had a dream that a groundhog, I don't even know what the groundhog was doing in my dream, but I ended up kind of waking up and I felt something furry under my arm and I freaked out. Like, I was still half asleep and half awake, and so the dream part of me thought that, like, I was awake enough to realize that I was in my bed, but the dream part of me thought there was a groundhog under my pillow, and I like freaked out, was screaming, jumped up, was clawing at the door, trying to get out of our bedroom. My husband wakes up and he's like, what is going on? Flips on the light wakes me up like fully, and he's like, what is going on? And I'm like, there was a groundhog under my pillow. And he's like, that was my arm. I was feeling the hair on his arm. But I just freaked out because I thought there was a groundhog under my pillow. But I had a couple instances like that where I thought, there was another one where I thought there was a spider in the bed, and I was pretty asleep for this one, and I just like sat up and spazzed out thinking there was in my dream state there was a spider, and yet like I was also kind of awake, and I like flipped out thinking there was a spider in the bed. I thought it like touched my leg or something, and again my husband like flipped on the lights, which brought me out of it. And he's like, what is going on? Like, there's a spider in the bed. Like, insistent there was a spider. Or maybe it was a mouse. Maybe I thought there was a mouse in the bed. That's what it was. I thought there was a mouse in the bed, and I thought I felt it, like, crawling up on the bed. Crazy dream. I had a couple crazy dreams like that. I also had crazy dreams with my firstborn, but I didn't, like, physically get up and do stuff. But I guess I think if I remember correctly, I, like, talked in my sleep, but I don't remember what I was saying. It's been 3 years. But I had some crazy ones with that kid too. Question number 5. What does it feel like when the baby kicks? And this is kind of like something that maybe changes a little bit as your pregnancy goes along. With both of my kids, I was able to start feeling movement at about 10 weeks, which my doctor thought was about a bit soon, but she also said that, you know, maybe I'm just really in tune with my body. And I definitely felt them moving because the movements stayed the same, they just got stronger. Some people say it feels like little flutters. For myself personally, I don't know that I would describe it as flutters. I think it's so hard to describe what it feels like when somebody's kicking you from the inside. It's not painful. It can be uncomfortable as they get bigger because they get stronger, and so it can be really uncomfortable at times. He liked to kick my bladder some, and that didn't feel too great. But when they're just like generally kicking, I didn't find it to be overly painful. Uncomfortable, it can be a lot of pressure. He liked to get down to my cervix and kick also, and it felt like he was going to like kick the door open, like a lot of pressure on the cervix when he'd get down there and kick. And I know for him, a few times it felt like he had his feet in there and was like stretching his toes out. Like, that felt really weird. But as far as what it feels like when they kick, I feel like that's a really hard one to describe. I guess maybe, I know people call it flutters, and again, I feel like it's stronger than flutters. It's stronger than that. Because I think flutters and I think little soft, little, I don't know. These are, I don't want to say like somebody flicking you, but almost as somebody's flicking you, but it doesn't hurt. It's just like a thunk or something. I don't know. It's really hard to describe. Number 6, what is it like giving birth with people watching you? So this is kind of an interesting question because With my second birth, it was a planned C-section. This kiddo was breech, along with I had a C-section with my first child, so in my city, it's city ordinance. If you have one C-section, all following births have to be C-section. But he was breech, so either way, it was going to be C-section with this baby. But I remember after they numbed me and laid me down, which if you guys want to see a full birth story, I can link both stories down below. But they laid me on the slab, and I remember looking over and like all the nurses, and there was like a lot of people in the room. But like, I feel like for like 2 of the walls, it was just lined with people just standing there staring at me. And it was like so weird feeling. I felt like I was in the center of my own little show and I didn't know what to do. Like, hi, can I help you? Everybody just sitting there staring at me. But after they numbed me, they had to wait 3 minutes before they could start the procedure. And I guess they had nothing better to do, but it was really awkward and weird. But after that, like once I was fully numb and they were able to start the procedure, everybody was doing their job. So nobody was really watching me have my C-section. They were either participating in the C-section or they were like taking care of this guy after he came out. So nobody was really watching, to be honest. And I was kind of out of it. Like, they gave me this stuff for anxiety in my spinal, so I really didn't care. Like, I didn't have a care in the world during that whole procedure. Like, I can distinctly remember laying there and thinking this could be painful and I wouldn't care. Like, I was so just like chilled out from the meds they gave me. I had no cares at all. Like, no, like after the spinal tip. Like, again, when they first stuck me and they were waiting the 3 minutes for it to all set in, like I remember everybody staring at me and being like, this is weird and awkward. But after that, after the meds kicked in, like I didn't care about nothing. With my firstborn, I did try to have a vaginal delivery with him, and I didn't have very many people in the room. My husband was there, and then I had my nurse that was with me, and then my doctor would pop in occasionally, and some other nurses would come and go depending on what was needed. But I had like a main nurse with me all the time, and then I had my husband with me all the time. And I just got really comfortable with those two. I mean, obviously comfortable because of my husband, but then like I got comfortable with that nurse. And like I remember they had to do a shift change, and I did not want my nurse to leave. I was in the middle of pushing. I've been pushing for like an hour and a half or 2 hours or something like that. And I did not want her to leave, and she actually stuck around and worked like an extra hour with me until my doctor decided to call it off and have me do a C-section. And I was so thankful for that because I did not feel comfortable having a new set of nurses come in, because they brought in the new nurses for the shift change to introduce me, and I want to say I kind of freaked out and said I didn't want her to leave or something like that. I don't remember, but she decided to stick it out, and she worked with me for like the next hour again until my doctor called it. So I was really thankful she did that. But that really just came down to I was really comfortable with her, and I felt like she'd been with me for like for so long, and just to have somebody else switch out, I was like, like we've come this far, and like what's going on, what's going on. It's pretty much what it comes down to. So it wasn't so much that I was uncomfortable with these new nurses coming in and watching me. It was that the nurse I had been with me for so long and just knew all the struggles and everything that was going on. My epidural didn't take, and I was taking Tylenol still, and I had a hot spot in my hip, and there's so much going on. I felt like I don't want to lose you, like you know what's going on. So, but yeah, I really didn't care that much come the end of it. I just wanted the baby out of me. And then after they decided to do a C-section, that nurse left, the new nurses came in. I had several of them in. I hardly remember those ladies at all. I hate to say it, because they were very nice, and they tried to make me as comfortable as they could until my C-section, but I don't really remember them. I was just so focused on the hot spot in my hip. That was so painful. But I really remember the nurse who helped me so much. And yeah, I don't know, I think you get one nurse in there and you just get really comfortable with that one particular nurse, and then like you don't want them to leave. But I wasn't really concerned with anybody coming in and seeing things and watching, because these people, that's their job. They do it all day long. Like, they're not concerned with what I look like. They're just concerned with my medical care and getting baby out. That's kind of how I look at it. Okay, I think we're on question number 6, or is it 7? I don't know. What was your vagina like after? Will it ever be the same? So maybe I'm not the best person to answer this question because I have never had a vaginal birth, but your vagina, to my understanding, goes back to normal. The only thing I can attest for is that I was fully dilated, and so, I mean, as far as that's concerned, yeah, everything snapped back, but I've never, like, pushed a human out of my hoo-ha, so I guess maybe I'm not the best person to answer that question. But from talking to other women who have done that, everything goes back. Question number 7, what surprised you the most about being pregnant? I think what surprised me the most about being pregnant my first go around was my mood swings. Like, I was so grumpy the whole time. So grumpy. I think the other thing I found very surprising was how exhausted I was. Like, it's the first trimester is like a whole other level of exhausted. Like, I mean, I've got a newborn now. I'm tired half the time. I'm up half the night. But even this doesn't compare to the level of exhaustion that comes with the first trimester. Had it with both pregnancies. And it's just almost like when you're sick, except for you feel perfectly fine. But it's almost like when you're sick and you're just so exhausted, like you can't, like when you've had the flu really bad, you just about can't get out of bed. Like, you're just so exhausted and drained and tired. It's physical, it's mental, it's just everything. You're just drained of everything. And yeah, that was shocking. I always heard you were tired during pregnancy, but that, like, was just exhaustion. Just, oh my gosh. I had no energy to do anything during the first trimester. Was a struggle. Like, and it sucks because you're so early on that, like, everything still fits you, and, like, yep. I never had much morning sickness. I had a little nausea, but nothing overly concerning. So, you know, other than the exhaustion, like, I felt pretty fine, and I felt like I should be able to get up and do stuff, but I just wanted to lay in bed all day, which sucked because the further along you get, even though the exhaustion goes away, like, you get rounder, you get more uncomfortable, things get harder to do, and you have more energy, but you're physically just not able to do everything that you want to do. And in the first trimester, like, physically you can do stuff, but you're just so dang exhausted, you can't do anything. Number 8, how scared were you to give birth? In the beginning of my first pregnancy, I was petrified. I was so scared to give birth. Of course, like, it's a whole new thing. You don't know what to expect. You don't know what's going to come of it. You don't know how it's going to pan out. You don't know anything. And, I mean, you know what they tell you, but, like, you've never experienced it before. So I was terrified. My second go around, I knew I was going to have a planned C-section. I was still nervous, just because I never had a planned C-section before. My last one was not exactly an emergency, but it definitely wasn't a planned C-section. And by the time I had that C-section, I was just so ready to be done being in labor. I was in so much pain and so uncomfortable that, like, I welcomed it. And so going into having this surgery, not knowing exactly what to expect, I was nervous. I can't say I didn't know what to expect. I kind of knew what to expect. It just was like, I was more coherent. Whereas with the first one, like, I was so exhausted, like, I didn't care what they wanted to do to me to get the baby out. I didn't care. So this time around, I was a little more cognitive, I guess. And so I was nervous going into it. But planned C-sections are nothing compared to labor. I'll tell you that much. It's a planned C-section, piece of cake. In my experience, no big deal. Okay, so that is everything for these questions. If you're a mama who does YouTube and you want to answer these questions, I'll have them linked down below along with the original video, so go check that out. Make sure you hit the subscribe button and give it a big thumbs up if you did enjoy this video, and I hope to catch you guys in the next one.